Yo, what up? Toshi here. It's no surprise that whenever you summon a character in the gacha game, that character is essentially going to be really special to you. You see, characters in Hoyoverse games usually are far and in between. That is if you are a free-to-play player. And most free-to-play players want to make sure that their character is going to stand the test of time. Last them a very long time on their account because the currency to summon is very dry long term. DPS characters are the easiest to power creep, well, because they only simply do damage. Support characters are usually the ones you get the most bang for your buck. With Silver Wolf around the corner, or literally today at the time I'm recording this, she is going to be a future-proof character. What does future-proof mean? Well, let me explain. You see, a character that is future-proof is a character that is essentially, I like to call overloaded. A character that does way too much all the dang time. And Bronya is the best example. I love her, she's my favorite character, and I can't believe I said that to an actual video game character. I'm really weird. Bronya is the character that is going to stand the test of time for your account. She's the best character undisputably in the current game as it stands. But what makes Bronya such a very strong character? Let's take a look. Being able to dispel a debuff from an ally when using your elemental skill to then buff the character, increase their damage, and give them a free turn is really strong for a single skill. Now, I understand that the skill may only last one turn and it's only for a single ally, but most of the time you're going to be using that on your DPS character. Being able to increase the attack of every single ally in your team, although this really matters for your DPS characters, and give them crit damage is what makes her even better. Having really strong abilities to allow the characters to essentially give your allies even more damage amplifications, having a crit rate increase for a basic attack, which might not mean much, but it will matter later on. You'll get more copies of Bronya as you simply just play the game. Maybe you'll lose your 50-50, maybe you'll get Harndy Standard Banner. Either way is going to allow you to unlock more capabilities for the character. You see, with the first constellation allowing Bronya to essentially give your team a free skill point, by a 50% chance, that might not seem like much, but this will happen more than you think. Being able to essentially do a nice chunk of damage to the enemy whenever an ally attacks the enemy is going to be very good, especially if you pair this with a certain character that is literally coming out today. And her elemental skill now being able to last 2 turns instead of 1 for the ally is going to increase the DPS for that character overall. There's a character that simply can't use all of Bronya's kit to the fullest, and that is going to be Yuan. Now, that changes once you unlock all of Bronya's constellations. Then the character becomes a monster. All because, well, you have a character that is simply way too strong. Whenever you use Bronya's elemental skill in Jing and it lasts for 1 turn, the Lightning Lord doesn't get that damage bonus increase. And therefore, you lose out on a large chunk of DPS, all because, well, the turn order for the Lightning Lord and Jing are 2 separate entities. But all of that changes whenever you have Bronya's E6. And for what it's worth, Bronya isn't a very stat-hungry character. All you really need is some attack, maybe if you wanted, some HP, some effect resistance so she's able to safely land her elemental skill whenever she needs to, and then have a bunch of crit damage to give that to your ally. Now, in the previous video, we did rank all of the characters, and this was before the game even released, but I still stand by what I said in that video. I said that the Bronyas are going to be the strongest characters in the game. Bronya and Silver Wolf are going to be the 2 strongest support characters, the 2 strongest characters that will stand the test of time in Honkai Star Rail, all because they simply have overloaded kits. You see, a character like Jeopard is extremely strong now, but I'm scared that this character might not be as strong as he is currently later on. And there is simply one reason: corrosion. You see, with this mechanic already introduced in Genshin Impact, Hoyoverse very well knows that it's a mechanic that works really well. It would essentially make the character absolutely useless. Being able to have damage go through shields without damaging the shields is going to make the character simply worse. But then you have a character like Bailu, and the reason why she stands out more than Jeopard is, well, she can heal. Healing is something the enemy can't really stop unless Hoyoverse was to introduce a whole new mechanic. And that mechanic is simply just make it to where your allies can't be healed, so we call it an unhealable debuff. However, Bailu does have a revive, which is going to make her much better long term, because no other character in the game currently can do that. And as much as I love using Seal and I find her really fun and rewarding to play, this character simply just isn't going to be fit long term. And you probably already know why. Well, there's a character or mob in the game that simply makes her really bad to play. The Nourish struck enemies. Those enemies cannot be one shot, which simply makes it to where Seal can't get the turn again. She still does a lot of single target damage, but I'm sure there will be a character that probably does more single target damage than she does. And as much as I love damage over time effects, which we'll cover in a future video, so don't you worry, they're probably going to be something that may not work all the time. It's a cool gimmick, but what if the enemy has a immunity buff? Or maybe the enemy can't be debuffed at all. That would suck, wouldn't it? And dots do count as debuffs. So now you understand why support characters usually stand the test of time. And Bronya is the best example. She's a character that is going to do what she does all the time and no one's really going to be able to stop her. That is, unless the enemy attacks you for using a skill that doesn't attack or do damage. I really wouldn't expect to see it. But then again, that could change. And even after the CBT nerfs to the character, she still is simply overloaded. But I'm not complaining because she's my favorite character. Now you see, with a character like Silverwolf being able to do everything she does, you essentially, with her elemental skill, put a weakness on the enemy that the enemy didn't otherwise already have, being able to decrease the defense of the enemy, being able to decrease the speed of the enemy, being able to decrease the attack of the enemy, and then being able to decrease the defense even more of the enemy. The only thing stopping this character is the fact that she is single target. But you could argue that that's probably not an issue anyways, because the value of the character is thus only really necessary for hunt DPS characters. She is a very, very future-proof character because of simply what she does as a support debuffer character. And you see, with a character like Tingyun, the only reason why I don't think she's as valuable as Bronya long term is simply because she can't dispel a debuff on her elemental skill. That is a night and day difference between both characters, and thus why I don't rank her as high as I do Bronya. Even though she gives energy to your ally, what's an ally that can't even use their ultimate if they're stunned? Then you could just say, well, you can bring other, cleansers into your team and that would work. And yeah, that's all fine and dandy. But a character that does all of that combined is simply too strong. And yeah, again, the fact that she can give a skill point as well with her elemental skill is still crazy. Now, I will be honest, if the character was bad, I would still use her anyways, and I think I don't want this video to deter anyone. If you love a character so much, I think you should use them no matter what. If you believe in Bronya ideology just like me, then you should also continue using the character, not because she is future-proof. Or maybe because she is future-proof. The choice is yours. With Silverwolf coming out at the time you're probably watching this video, I want you all to know you should not have to break the bank for this character. Although she is going to be a very strong character for your account long term, you don't have to lose your house for it. Or if you're not, of age, then you don't have to lose your Xbox 360, your Xbox Series X for it. Do people still have, I don't know what kids have nowadays, but you don't have to lose all of your belongings for one character in a gacha game. She will have a rerun and you'll be able to pick her up then. I personally will be getting her on a rerun and I will be skipping her on her live banner because I just maybe don't need the character. That sounds like a really copium take, but I'm going to save for one character, okay? And she's coming in the... Wait, how do we know if she's coming?
Out of pocket for that shit.
I do stream daily on Twitch, twitch.tv/Toshio. The link will be in the description. Thank you for watching and have a nice rest of your day. Peace.